everybody, and welcome back to another video. It's me, Golding, and today I'm going to be talking about my OC winglet, the Hope Winglet. And this is actually a drawing for the art contest being hosted by Dog Lover Likes Doge. And it's also a redraw of the former Jade Winglet. If you saw my sketchbook tour video, I had a picture of them in there, so you can actually see the screenshot that I took of it in the corner as I'm drawing the characters out. And I have written a bit of backstory for each character. I didn't have enough time to type it, so I am reading off of my very cramped, messy handwriting. So if I say the wrong thing and I have to go back and read it or lose my spot, I'm terribly sorry. But anyways, without further ado, I'll get started. The Hope Winglet is yet another step towards the peace between the tribes, taking dragonets of about ages 3 to 4 from both Peri and Pantala. The hopes that this group of dragonets will strengthen the bonds between the tribes. I also canon that Sunny might write that and put it in a brochure or a scroll and send it to the different tribes when they request dragonets to come to the school. Anyways, I will get started on the dragonets. The first one is the Skywing named Robin. Robin grew up in the Skywing Palace. His father, who had been injured in the war, was mostly grounded, but took great pride in his son. Robin loves exploring the mountainside and often brings things back that he finds to his father, who would teach him more about them. Eventually, as Robin grew older, there were less things his father could teach him. Luckily, the dragonets at the academy reached out to see if Robin would be interested in joining the newest winglet, and both father and son were excited. Robin is rather introverted, preferring exploring in the mountains to big social gatherings, but he still ended up making friends with other dragons, especially Duststorm and Bobbin. The Sandwing is Duststorm. Duststorm was born in the Scorpion Den, but soon after Thorn gained the throne, he and his parents moved to the palace. Both his parents were outlaws, and having experienced the hardships of war, both wanted the best for their dragonet. Growing up, Duststorm was always very social and knew the palace like the back of his claw. It wasn't long after he turned 3 that his parents were personally advised by Queen Thorn to enroll him in Jade Mountain Academy as a part of the new winglet. Duststorm had always been friendly, and when he saw his clawmate Robin keeping to himself, he ended up bonding with him, and they became best friends. They also shared similar interests with Bobbin, the Hivewing in the winglet. Now we're moving on to the Hivewing. Bobbin was born and raised in Pantala before joining Jade Mountain Academy. She was raised in Cicada Hive and ended up being good friends with Bumblebee. It was through her connection and love of learning that brought her up as the perfect candidate for the Hope Winglet in Cricket's eyes. Along with Pinecone and Bluebell, Bobbin made the journey to Pyria to Jade Mountain Academy. She was extremely excited to learn and even became good friends with Robin and Duststorm, who showed and taught her more about their continent and tribes. Bobbin is very inquisitive and takes great pride in her learning. While she sometimes is considered a know-it-all, her friends know she has a silly side. I also know that Bobbin isn't a regular Hivewing name, but when I was coming up with her name, I just really loved Bobbin, and I ended up keeping it. Anyways, the Nightwing in the group is Night Opal. Night Opal has always been different from the Nightwings around her. Growing up in the band of settlers of the old Nightwing Kingdom, having hatched under a full moon, she was granted prophetic powers. While it wasn't as consistent as mind reading, it really still came with its own troubles. Given that not too many dragons had powers, she had no one to teach her to use her powers. So after 3 years of her life as a bit of a misfit, she finally got the letter she'd been waiting for. Jade Mountain Academy wanted her. Her parents, though reluctant, wished her well, and as a parting gift, her mother gave her one of the precious opals she'd been named after. Upon reaching Jade Mountain, she met her winglet and saw snippets of their future, which all looked very bright. She especially liked the Leafwing Pinecone, who loved to tell her about his life in Pantala. I also actually shipped them, so that's something. I actually might end up writing more about them in the future and do a speed paint of them together. Anyways, the Leafwing is Pinecone. Pinecone had always loved to travel. His family and a few others traveled around Pantala, overseeing the growth of the trees being planted. He was often told about how the Hivewings had once oppressed them and enslaved the Silkwings, but he believed that was in the past. And besides, things were better now, right? While on his journey, he loved finding new plants, animals, and insects, and kept a log of them in his journal. Then one day, his parents said he would be starting a new adventure across the ocean in Pyria at a place called Jade Mountain Academy. He, along with the other dragonets going, made it safely to the academy, and Pinecone grew to love Pyria almost as much as Pantala. He made many friends, and he had new places, new plants and animals and insects to discover, and he shared it all with his best friend, Nay Opal. The rainwing is Cherry. Cherry grew up in the rainforest. Like most rainwings, she loved fruit and suntime, but unlike most, she was extremely close to her sister. Although she knew who the rest of her family was, she was never really close to them as she was to her sister, who, although quite older, spent every day with her, teaching her the ways of the rainforest. Cherry lived peacefully like this for 3 years until her sister and Queen Glory wanted her to go to Jade Mountain Academy. While she didn't like the idea at first, her sister said she'd be attending too. Excitedly, Cherry looked forward to meeting her winglet. She really wanted to make a good first impression and did her best to make the others like her. I actually canon her as more of a class clown, and that comes with the desire to make others like her, and that's kind of why I included that. And I think because she would be so reliant on her sister, that would kind of be why she desperately wanted others to like her, because she just wants to be liked. And I might go into that further in the future, and I don't know if I will actually have her sister go with her to Jade Mountain Academy, but I'll end up seeing if I rewrite that. The Mudwing's name is Bog. Bog was hatched and raised in a small mudwing village not too far from the outskirts of the rainforest. He was the smallest of his sibs, but that never stopped him from playing around and tussling with them. He had a pretty normal mudwing life up until a large mudwing and an odd-looking sandwing visited. After introducing themselves, they explained they were looking for a mudwing dragonet to come to their school. Although his sibs weren't interested, Bog liked the idea of learning more things about the world and the dragons around him. Finally, after getting permission from his bigwigs, and the two friendly dragons took him back to Jade Mountain Academy. Although a bit nervous at first, he ended up really liking his winglet, and he loved learning new things. And it helped that they had so many new foods to choose from. I also kind of liked the idea of a mudwing that was actually interested in learning a bit more than he was food, although he is still excited to try new foods. The Seawing is Puffin. Puffin had been in the Deep Palace all her life. Her mother and father both worked at the palace, so naturally she stuck close by. They were chefs in charge of serving the entire castle, and while tiresome, they always doted on her. She had always been small, even by Seawing standards, and some of the Seawing dragonets would bully her. Because of this, and when the time came for her to go to a school, she asked her parents if there was another place she could go. Lucky for her, Jade Mountain Academy had asked for any Seawings age 3 to join the new winglet. Puffin excitedly joined the school and met tons of new dragons who didn't care about her size. She became especially good friends with Cherry, the goofy rainwing, who loved to make her laugh and play games. I also kind of think that they would end up forming a special bond and end up overcoming their insecurities together, and I feel like that would be kind of a fun canon for them. The Icewing is Blizzard. Blizzard grew up in a small, tightly knit community along the coast of the Ice Kingdom. When he was little, he discovered his hidden talent: singing. He was so good, in fact, that his whole family and most of the town would gather around every month to listen to the latest songs he'd written. He greatly enjoyed life with his family in the snowy north, but he longed to learn more about the world and to write songs about them. So when the dragons came to see if an Icewing dragonet would return with them to Jade Mountain Academy, he sprang at the opportunity. When he reached the Jade Mountain Academy, he was astounded by all the new things and people. He especially loved the music room and was happy that one of his classmates, Bluebell, liked music too. And now we move on to the last but not least, Silkwing, Bluebell. Bluebell hatched and was raised in Pantala before going to attend Jade Mountain Academy. She comes from a big, loving family, most of whom lived in Hornet Hive. After the Silkwings were freed from hive wing oppression. Her family started a small business selling wood flutes that her father had taught them to make. Bluebell and her siblings also learned how to play them, and Bluebell loved to play the day away. Then one day, her family was approached by a hive wing asking if she would like to go to a school on the other continent. At first, she was nervous, but her family all encouraged her, so she decided to give it a go. Upon arrival, she did like her winglet and found that not only were they going to learn a lot of interesting things, but that music was one of them. She also made good friends with Blizzard, who loved to sing. Together, they wrote many songs and performed them for their winglet. I may eventually... I don't really think I would ship them, actually. I kind of picture them more as good friends. It may turn different over time, but that's them for now. But I really think that it would be kind of a cool concept if they were a traveling duo of a singer and a musician. So that was what I canoned for them. Anyways, that was my Hope Winglet. I hope you guys enjoyed. And again, thank you guys for 100 subs. I really appreciate it. I will be doing some things to celebrate that, possibly making a community. And I really appreciate your guys' love and support. So I will see you guys soon, and thanks for watching.